day long. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Over the last 50 years, USIU Africa has upheld a legacy of academic excellence. USIU Africa provides a world-class education that is dually accredited in Kenya and the United States. Our qualifications are globally recognized, giving our graduates the opportunity to work, live, and thrive anywhere in the world. We spark a fiery light of determination in every lesson learned. We equip scholars with the most modern resource center with advanced technology and updated books. We assist our learners in seeking internship placements, academic counseling, and career advice. Apply now for the September 2019 intake and soar to greater heights with USIU Africa. USIU Africa, education to take you places. Are you ready for Kenya's most anticipated color run? The Plascon Color Run. On Sunday, August 11th, the color storm hits Uhuru Gardens, Langata Road. Come experience a whole new level of heaven on earth. DJ Music Mix Entertainment and performances by renowned artists. Gates open at 10 a.m. Available kids arena. Plenty of food and drinks all day long. Simply dial *229*38# or log on to www.mtickets.com to get your ticket today. Plascon, color your world.
This August 16th, join us for a night of praise and worship as the 3 times Grammy Award winners Soweto Gospel Choir perform live at Sitam Karen. Grab your tickets now for only 2,000 bob on www.ticketsasa.com and get ready for a worship experience like never before. Also performing will be Paul Clement from Tanzania, Pitson, Evelyn Wanjiro, Karura Voices, Nikita Kering, Red Fourth Chorus, and Spellcast Choir. Proudly brought to you by Aster Eden Planners and NTV.
Making my family some nutritious porridge is a painstaking process. First, I have to find all the ingredients needed, and there are many. For vitamins, proteins, and minerals, I need cassava, sorghum, millet. You no longer need to go through all that to make nutritious porridge. All you need is NutriPro.
You don't have to go through the trouble of finding, measuring, and weighing all these vital ingredients. New NutriPro porridge flour comes fortified with 13 vitamins, proteins, and minerals. This means that you have more time to focus on what's important, giving your family the healthy start they deserve. NutriPro, bringing families together. From Tropical Brand.
School of Business University of Nairobi, globally recognized and offering internationally accredited programs, invites applications for the September 2019 intake in the following postgraduate and undergraduate programs: Master in Business Administration, Master of Science in Marketing, Human Resources Management, Entrepreneurship and Innovations Management, Finance, Supply Chain Management, Operations and Technology Management, Bachelor of Commerce Distance Learning, Bachelor of Science in Finance, Accounting, Operations and Supply Chain Management. Programs are offered in Mombasa and Kisumu campuses and selected programs at the Eldoret Learning Center. Apply online through application.uonbi.ac.ke and be the first to secure admission at the most prestigious university in Sub-Saharan Africa. The University of Nairobi is a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
Super Loaf, slices of life.
This is NTV.
Did you know that this being the first Sunday of the month of August, it is Sisters' Day?
Sisters' Day?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it also happens to be Single Working Women's Day, but more on that a little later.
We have plenty of stories that we've covered for you. We've got all the sporting action. You don't want to miss that. Plus a special feature. You know, it's Sunday when we have it all together. Plus, it has been a dark month, the month of July. August is always known as the darkest month, but July was. So let's just hope that
when
this month...
When you say darkest, you mean grey?
Yeah, grey. Not just the weather. A lot of things going on. But let's just hope this month will come along pretty well for you. We have a lot of stories, but first the highlights.
Tonight. No books, no desks, not enough teachers.
Ukinyesha, ukweli ni kwamba watoto wote wanatoka kule ambako waliko kwenye madarasa. Wanakuja kwenye ile structure ambayo iko na bati.
Mfumo umeingizwa lakini vitabu hatujapata.
Kenya's Hardship Academy with Rose Wangoi.
And Justice Jackton Ojwang is innocent. Tribunal investigating Supreme Court judge presents evidence to the president.
Plus, Ken Okot's final wishes leaves family saddened.
Sisi Luo tunaamini kwamba tunashika mtu, tunakula hapo, tunarithi hata bibi yake.
Family meets with elders for direction.
Also tonight, Kenya eliminated from CHAN 2020 qualifiers. Taifa Stars beat Harambee Stars at Kasarani.
NTV Weekend Edition with Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
Thank you for joining us on NTV Weekend Edition. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno. Supreme Court Judge Justice Jackton Boma Ojwang is innocent. The tribunal that was tasked with investigating him absolved him of all the allegations that had been leveled against him.
In a report submitted to President Uhuru Kenyatta this afternoon, the tribunal declared the judge innocent of all the 4 allegations he was facing and recommended his resumption to duty with immediate effect. NTV Zainab Ismail reports.
Supreme Court Judge Jackton Ojwang has been cleared of all 4 charges that led to his suspension. He was accused of misconduct, impropriety, conflict of interest and breach of the Judicial Code of Conduct. A team led by Court of Appeal Judge Al-Nashir Visram, which investigated his conduct, exonerated him of any wrongdoing after analyzing evidence from 25 witnesses. The Justice Visram-led tribunal handed its findings to President Uhuru Kenyatta and recommended that he lifts the suspension imposed on Justice Ojwang. Ojwang was suspended after the JSC recommended to President Uhuru to form a tribunal to look into his conduct. According to a petition filed before the Judicial Service Commission, Ojwang was alleged to have benefited from the construction of a road leading to his rural house in Migori County after issuing a favorable ruling in a Sony Sugar Belt case that Governor Okoth Obado supposedly had interests in. The move by the JSC was triggered by a petition made by Nelson Oduor and 8 others in which varied allegations of misconduct, incompetence and breach of the Judicial Code of Conduct were made against the judge. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
To a story that has been making quite the headlines, the extended family of the late Kibra MP Ken Okoth say they are still keen on carrying out the traditions regarding the burial of a loved one.
The relatives in Homa Bay say they will still have a symbolic burial at the mother's home. This comes as the Council of Elders insist that the widow of the late MP must participate in the traditions, including wife inheritance. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports.
Angelina Ojwang, the late Ken Okoth's mother, had hoped to return to her Ogenda home with the remains of her son to bury, but those plans didn't go as she envisioned. Late Sunday afternoon, she comes home empty-handed. The remains of her late son cremated in a private function early Saturday, a ceremony she is said to have skipped. Her arrival here expected to trigger the next phase of mourning in the community and the completion of alternative funeral rites. According to Luo customs, an adult man is supposed to be interred at his own home, complete with the attendant ceremonies.
Sisi Luo tunaamini kwamba tunashika mtu, tunakula hapo, tunarithi hata bibi yake. And that is our culture. So wale ambao wanaleta culture kutoka ngambo unakuja na hapa Kenya, alafu wanafanya mbunge yetu ambao tunapenda kwa muda inachomwa.
In the event a body isn't available for burial, the society has its own remedies and now they want this invoked.
Sisi tunapanga kwenda nyumbani na tuchukua kibango ya ndizi kubwa kabisa. Alafu tuchimbe hiyo shimo na tuweke kwa sanduku na tushike huko nyumbani.
The mock burial isn't the only tradition the elders want to see observed. They want the widow of the late MP retained in the family. Back in the constituency that the late Okoth represented for 7 years, meetings are still ongoing as the residents try to figure out how to honor their leader. They say the private cremation denied them a chance to bid him their goodbyes.
Mama walibeba mabags. Walingoja kufika saa 12 breaking news kwamba Ken Okoth azikwi, anachomwa. Mimi vile niko na pressure niliona ni kama inapanda, hata ikipimwa utapata imepanda. Kwa vile sikujua mheshimiwa mkubwa. Hakuna pali tumeenda tumekaa chini.
Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Well, the competence-based curriculum has been hit with a number of difficulties since it was rolled out. The curriculum was rolled out in January, targeting pre-primary grades 1, 2 and 3 learners. The new 2633 system is replacing the 844, which has been discredited for being too examination-centered.
While the Ministry of Education maintains that it has handled the teething problems, there are counties like Kwale where poor infrastructure and insufficient staff are proving to be a bottleneck in the access of education for the young children. NTV's award-winning journalist Rose Wangoi takes us to the classrooms in Kinango constituency, Kilifi County, where undeterred children pursue an education amidst crushing deficiencies. And is it Kilifi or Kwale?
This is in Kwale.
Grass-thatched roofs which are feebly supported by worn-out mud walls intertwine between cracks and holes. Tumaini Primary School stands tall. The school's nearly non-existent infrastructure paints the grim reality that is the pursuit of education in Kinango constituency, Kwale County. Perhaps pupils and teachers in this particular institution often pray it does not rain during the day or the strong wind may have mercy on them when the skies open.
Kukinyesha, ukweli ni kwamba watoto wote wanatoka kule ambako waliko kwenye madarasa, wanakuja kwenye ile structure ambayo iko na bati. Wote, hakuna masomo ambayo yanasomeka.
The classes are ever dusty and a desk is shared by up to 5 learners. The school, which was registered in 2007, does not have a permanent structure. Its survival now is by the mercy of few well-wishers.
Makuti wale wanarekebisha. Ni mchango tu wa wazazi ndio ambao unasaidia hii hali. Lakini kama si hivyo kungekuwa na hali nyingine ambayo sio.
The institution, whose student population is 236, currently needs at least 6 classrooms to accommodate the pupils who learn in mud-wall structures and under trees. There is no administration block. The head teacher and his staff have to use a mud-wall structure to keep important records and prepare their lessons. The Ministry of Education rolled out the competency-based curriculum after a 1-year nationwide experimentation. It targeted pre-primary, grades 1, 2 and 3 learners. The question of infrastructure development in schools, especially in rural areas, is one that cannot be wished away. Under a thorny tree that barely keeps away the scorching sun, a group of children aged 5 and 6 years sit on the dusty ground.
Hello. Hi.
With little success, the teacher struggles to regain full attention of the easily distracted classes and rushes through the lesson.
Yes, very good. Sheep.
Lower classes are conducted under trees. This comes with insurmountable challenges. The pupils miss out on the quality of education that they ought to receive because they do not concentrate. The head teacher says despite filing complaints with the county government, no help of any form has come their way.
Mambo ya ECD tumeenda kwa public participation kila mara, lakini hakuna siku hata moja tumefaidika. Twashangaa kwa sababu kwamba upande mwingine kunafanyiwa, huku kwetu kuna kuwa na shida. Watoto 80 wa ECD wako hapa na wako nje mpaka saa hii. Hawana choo chao, maana kila ambacho kiko chatumika na wale watu wakubwa.
Number 5. Rice.
Sisi kama tungepata facilities za kutosha, tuamini kwamba hawa watoto wangefanya vizuri zaidi.
Mfumo umeingizwa lakini vitabu hatujapata.
The situation is replicated at AIC Ngangani Primary School. The classrooms are in a deplorable state, many of them destroyed by heavy rains. Most of the classrooms poorly constructed with mud walls are so frail, they're literally shaking. When it rains, the roads become impassable, the classrooms leaky, and many people simply stay away for the duration of the rains. The school, which was started in 2005, does not have a toilet. The pupils and teachers are forced to relieve themselves in the bushes.
The place is rocky. Parents tried to dig some pits, but then they are filled. In fact, I'm worried if a public health officer comes in here. I'm afraid the school may be closed. Even when I came, I was also shown some bush where teachers always go. And I'm not comfortable with that one.
The school has 4 permanent classrooms constructed by the Constituency Development Fund. These are preserved for the lower classes. The upper classes have to make do with mud wall structures. The worn-out walls make teaching a difficult task due to noise from both ends of the classroom. This, according to teachers, affects teaching and learning as children lose focus. The blackboards are battered. As learning continues, unlikely visitors can be seen roaming within the classrooms. The head teacher says that the allocation from the government is not enough to do maintenance work on the mud-walled classrooms.
What we received in first term, it was around 37,000. That's peanuts. It's like a drop in the ocean. So you can tell me, what can you do with that money? We need to take care of our property. So that's the watchman who should be paid not less than 4,000. We pay him 4,000 shillings.
And with the introduction of the competency-based new curriculum, the school faces another challenge. Only 3 of its teachers have been trained for this new system of teaching.
The grade 1, 2, 3, all have been trained. But with the shortage now, they go to lower and then come back to upper. You come to maybe class 4, class 8, and then you go back to grade 1. Teaching is not very effective actually. So we are now 5. So at one given period, there are 3 classes that remain without a teacher at any given period. So really we have a problem. Performance is not good.
First of all, we have to study that map.
The major challenges are just the textbooks that we are not getting them, especially when it comes to giving work to the learners. You see, the way they have been designed, it's like every pupil should have a book. So if they are not there, then it becomes oral. It is not practical. Those books that they have are for the mathematics activity, language activity, but those others are not there. They are yet to be delivered. If resources shall be made available, this curriculum is the best because it is actually focusing on the holistic development of that child. One could be good at a certain area. Again, ukiangalia the present one, it is just purely academic.
7 years after the pre-primary schooling was devolved, AIC Ngangani is yet to get a permanent structure. Young pupils continue to learn in deplorable conditions as their teachers work under the mercy of parents for pay. The classroom lacks basic learning materials such as desks, chairs and blackboards.
After the devolution, that was 2013, no teacher has been sent here by the county government. The pre-primary teacher is here. Is paid by the community. In a month you can give her maybe 1,000, 2,000, anangojea, lakini anavumilia.
Magodzoni Primary School sits in perhaps our worst state. The school is in a dilapidated state, exposing the hardship learners and teachers are subjected to at least 8 hours a day. The pupils learn in classes that have developed huge cracks such that one cannot differentiate between a door and a window. Entrance is through any opening in the classrooms. The school does not have chairs or desks, and pupils are forced to sit on makeshift pieces of timber supported by 2 stones, which acts as chairs. When it rains, water leaks through the holes in the roof and the children's books get wet, and when it's windy, it penetrates through the cracks. The school, which has a population of 260 pupils, has only 2 permanent structures, which are allocated to the lower classes. Grade 1, 2 and 3 are forced to sit on bare floors while attending their classes for lack of desks.
The sounds are
The class also acts as a storeroom.
What is the sound?
The worst nightmare for the young learners is during continuous assessment tests and end-term exams. Due to lack of enough classrooms, pupils are scattered all over the school compound. But it doesn't end there. According to the head teacher, a shortage of teachers has drastically affected the implementation of the new curriculum at her school. Out of 8 TSC teachers, only 3 have undergone training on the new curriculum.
Huu mfumo mpya wa elimu, mwalimu anatakikana aangalie mambo mengi kulingana na mtoto. Skills. Kwa hiyo kazi imekuwa ni kubwa sana, mbinu zimebadilika. Kwa hiyo sasa kuna terms ambazo walimu hata sasa zina wasumbua kidogo. Vitabu vya darasa la 3 vya CBC ni ngumu kupatikana.
The word is met. What are the sounds?
Mwalimu anapofunza inabidi arudie vile vitabu vya zamani vya tusome ambayo ni old curriculum. Ndio arudi sasa awafunze watoto, ambapo inakuwa ni changamoto sana kwake.
This structure is a classroom for the pre-primary who attend school here. In their quest for education, it was built by the parents for the young learners, but the conditions here are threatening the very foundation they hope to build. The situation isn't any better at Bomani Primary School. Its dilapidated classrooms are quenching the thirst for education for more than 200 pupils. The school has only 2 permanent classrooms, forcing pupils to study in mud-walled structures.
The statement is negative, so it requires...
The school is in such disrepair that at any moment the classrooms they're taught in could collapse. The mud walls of some of the classes have fallen off.
So we have said we use
the teachers are ready to deliver, but in very poor structures from class 1 to standard 8. There are only 20 desks. That the ones we are dealing with them.
This is a unique learning environment. Class 4 and 5 share a classroom. The pupils have a rough time concentrating as the 2 teachers appear to be competing who is the loudest. When one classes face one direction, the other faces the opposite direction.
What do you call them?
Pit latrines are almost caving in, forcing teachers and pupils to use nearby bushes and thickets to respond to nature calls. Established 15 years ago, the school has 8 teachers, but only 2 understand the new curriculum.
Let us remind ourselves, what is a question plan?
Each have 52 lessons per week. That is the truth of the matter. Because at first we had taken those 2 to cater for standard 1, standard 2 and standard 3. But we saw there's a challenge because if one goes to the standard 1 and standard 2, class 3 remains without a teacher. We are just teachers of the old era. We are using the old methods to cope with them. Where we cannot afford using the old methods, we tell those who are inducted to deal with them. Such that even if the teacher is absent today, maybe because there is a human being, might fall sick anytime. So when he's absent, a teacher might go there to teach, but not teach the CBC.
Pre-primary children are facing a rocky start in their quest for education. Pre-primary level 1 and 2 are crammed in a single mud wall structure. They sit on the bare ground and write on their palms and knees. The gaping holes in the classrooms have been covered by manila charts, cartons and sacks to protect the young learners from wind and dust. The pupils are taught by an untrained teacher. She handles 4 classes from preschool to grade 3.
I don't think he has the right skills to teach the CBC. What we know that she got a C+ in Form 4, and since we see her delivering, because just a matter of reading the material and delivering to the pupils. We don't know whether whatever she's doing is the right thing as per the CBC or not. We don't know. And any time she decides to go because of maybe the underpayment, still we shall have that problem.
At Mbwaleni Primary School, there are 121 pupils in PP1 and PP2. There is so little space that the teacher can barely fit in the gap between pupils' knees in the front row and the chalkboard. The pupils sit on the floor and place books on their laps when they are writing. They have no desks.
In 2012, the county council came up with a building which did not complete. And because of that, we have been forced to converge the children in the classrooms which are already collapsing. We have made some calls for the county government. They have promised to come and build an ECD. At first we had high hopes, but now it is almost 5 years since they promised, and we have not seen it being fulfilled.
The school, which has a population of 421 pupils, but the classroom space cannot fit the growing numbers. It operates with only 6 TSC teachers. Most of the classrooms are built using homemade low-quality bricks. The roof is made of iron sheets that rattle on a windy afternoon. In some classes, the roof has partially caved in and sags dangerously. There are only 3 permanent structures occupied by the upper classes.
It's only class 8 and class 7 which at least has some desks for children to sit. From class 1 to class 6, there are no desks for children to sit.
Although the teachers are backing the implementation of the competency-based curriculum, they are of the opinion that the system has added more work. The curriculum covers the following learning areas. In PP1 and PP2, the subjects include languages, mathematics, environmental activities, psychomotor and creative activities, and religious education. In grade 1, 2, and 3, the list contained titles in the following areas: Kiswahili literacy, English, mathematics, environmental activities, hygiene and nutrition, Christian, Hindu and Islamic religious education, movement, and creative activities. Ideally, for CBC to be effective, there should be at least 20 learners per class. But here in Kinango, that is not applicable, since most of the schools have only 1 teacher handling an average of 50 pupils or more.
We had teachers who were trained for only a day, and the teachers were trained for 3 days. We have had some challenges. The enrollment of class 1 is around 80 children. The enrollment of class 2 is 75, and the enrollment of class 3 is 63. Because of the scarcity of teachers, the class 1 teacher is forced to handle all the subjects, and so does the class 2 and class 3 teacher. So there is too much workload.
Consequently, the teachers have failed to use learner-centered interactive teaching methods as the CBC demands.
When we heard about the CBC, we thought that maybe it would be like the 844 system, which the teachers were taking for 2 years for proper training. But with the 2-day training, I don't think whether it is fit for teachers to be well equipped for the CBC. Actually, we have been marveled. We have got very little knowledge. When we go to class, we don't have the courage. CBC inataka mafunzo mengi yawe yako kidigital. Na sasa sisi hata moto wenyewe huku shuleni hatu. So kweli unaona tunaweza tukawasaidia watoto.
We are not opposing the new curriculum, but I think we are not yet ready to implement it fully, because some of us are lacking that information about the CBC.
Ngaura Primary School was damaged by heavy rains, and now parents have come together to repair the mud-wall classrooms. According to the head teacher, the school has never received financial assistance to give it a facelift since it was built. For years, a severe shortage of classrooms and school furniture meant they studied in discomfort on dirty floors. Najua Bunda tries her best to instill as much of the knowledge as possible in the best way she knows.
4, 5.
Looking into the eyes of the children squatted on the ground before her, one notices a yearning for something more and better.
Kuna hiyo PP1 na PP2 wote wako pamoja, na kama hiyo CBC vile iko, naona inanikoroga sana watoto wakiwa mahali pamoja. Kama vile inatakikana kama wewe kila grade iko na mahali kwake. Kitu kigeni kimekuja sasa, inataka uzoefu na mafunzo kwa uzuri. Na sisi tumefunzwa kwa siku moja na field officers, twaitwa tu hivi mara moja, tunapigiwa tu kutoka mwanzo mpaka mwisho. Ukitoka pale kamba umekorogeka. Kazi nyingi unaelezwa hapa, unaelezwa pale, mara unakuwa kamba umechanganyikiwa.
2.
Mimi naona mfumo mpya ni mzuri kwa sababu unamlenga yule mtoto na urahisi wake, unamuonyesha kile kitu practical. Kwa sababu ukimwambia hii ni 1, unamuonyesha hasa 1 ina value ya vipi, manake ni nini 1.
After enduring a long and hard journey to get to school, the pupils at Chizaya Primary School still do not get any comfort while learning. This is because the school has inadequate classrooms. Preschool have a permanent structure which was constructed by the county government, while grade 1 and 2 occupy these 2 classrooms which were constructed by the CDF in 2016 at a cost of 2 million shillings. But the floor is already worn out. Teachers here claim the contractor did a shoddy job. There is no furniture and the young learners place books on their laps when they are writing. The school runs on the fuel of 3 teachers employed by the Teachers Service Commission who are serving over 200 pupils. Grade 3 lessons are conducted under a tree, with the young learners crowded into the available shade, peering at a battered blackboard that is leaning against the tree and straining to follow what the teacher, who can barely keep the board up, is saying. Josephine Umazi handles grade 1, 2 and 3. She handles 2 classes at the same time. While she's busy teaching grade 3, class 5 are also waiting for her services.
Hamjambo. Ketin.
Having 3 teachers who understand the CBC is a burden, because we have to deal with all the classes from morning to the evening. It's a bit tiresome because we have to deal with the grade 1, 2 and 3, and again you have 4, 5, 6 and 7 and 8. Then they also need work to do.
Unaona kitabu eh?
We have to group class 4 and 5, we combine them. Class 6 and 7, we combine them in one room. And then class 1 and 2, we have to group them in one class so that at least in every class there's a teacher.
Tunaulizwa Ngao alikuwa mgonjwa wakati gani? Turudi kwenye
Per day, you find a teacher having zaidi ya vipindi 10 kwa siku moja.
Zainabu alipata.
The deplorable learning situation at this school is not only extremely unfavorable for the pupils, but also something the teachers too have to bear with as they share a small model staff room.
And that is just part 1 of Hardship Academy. Rose Wangui has outlined the problem. In part 2, she demands answers. But before we get to that, always keen to know what your thoughts are. And Phoebe Collins, the hashtag, as I said, is Hardship Academy. She says, seriously, what are the functions of CDF, county governments, ward administrators, and MPs? I'm rooting for Punguza Mzigo Bill 2019. Evans Kimosop says, watching Hardship Academy, and I ask, how do these students compete with those who have all the infrastructure? Professor Maji Maenge says, this is so sad. I teach in a school with such dilapidated classes in Laikipia West. We need assistance. We even have no toilets. The school, he says, is All Moran Primary School. Jimison Mwashigadi says it is so annoying to see children learning under trees when money is being stolen left, right, and center. I hope relevant authorities are watching this feature. Peter Kavavei says this is not poverty but negligence of parents, teachers, and leaders in Kinango. We have Zahra Digo who says, and Magoha is here forcing down the new curriculum on teachers and pupils who have no desks, let alone the new textbooks. Can he first address this issue? It is so shameful. And Jay Wanjiru says, it is so hard to believe that in the year of our Lord 2019, we still have schools in such deplorable states. And funny enough, we have a government in place, both local and central. Dennis?
Well, Olive, that's just half the story. After this short break, Rose Wangui speaks to education officials and experts. Don't go anywhere.
Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. About 2.7 million Kenyans have hepatitis B virus, which is spread when blood or bodily fluids from an infected person enters the body of someone else. The virus is 100 times more infectious than HIV and can last for up to 7 days outside the body. Chronic hepatitis can cause liver failure and liver cancer. Get tested, get vaccinated. If infected, get the right treatment.
Join Telkom today and share life on our expanded 4G network. Telkom, moving with you.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection.
and now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
School of Business, University of Nairobi, globally recognized and offering internationally accredited programs, invites applications for the September 2019 intake in the following postgraduate and undergraduate programs: Master in Business Administration, Master of Science in Marketing, Human Resources Management, Entrepreneurship and Innovations Management, Finance, Supply Chain Management, Operations and Technology Management, Bachelor of Commerce, Distance Learning, Bachelor of Science in
in finance, accounting, operations and supply chain management. Programs are offered in Mombasa and Kisumu campuses and selected programs at the Eldoret Learning Center. Apply online through application.uonbi.ac.ke and be the first to secure admission at the most prestigious university in sub-Saharan Africa. The University of Nairobi is a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
Rough and tough quality textured coating gives your walls a tough and beautiful finish. Available in over 6,000 shades, it hides surface imperfections. Call us on 0709 887 000 to place your order. Crown. If you like it, crown it.
Out of your mind, Rodrigo! It was you who killed Papa! Just admit it, Mom!
Rodrigo, that's not true!
Your mom! Get away from her!
You only did that because you were defending me.
I did.
It was an accident,
It was an
Hernan.
accident!
Believe me!
Mom!
No!
It's true, I killed him!
Hernan!
Buy a Smart Card Plus from us at 1.25 million shillings and get 47,000 every month. A Smart Chap Chap Cab at 675,000 shillings and get 25,000 every month. Maridadi Motors. Move your status.
NTV Weekend Edition with Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
I'm glad you stayed with NTV Weekend Edition. Now, the children you watched in part 1 of Hardship Academy are currently enjoying their August holidays ahead of a shorter third term when Class 8 candidates will sit for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams with the rest of the country.
The Ministry of Education insists that the implementation of the new curriculum has been successful across the 47 counties. But according to the Kenya National Union of Teachers and Education experts, although CBC is good for the country, the government needed time to prepare. Rozongoi with part 2 of Hardship Academy.
Kinango constituency has 164 public primary schools. Out of these, 72 are in a deplorable state. This is despite the constituency receiving the lion's share of the Constituency Development Fund CDF cash in 2013 with an allocation of 171 million shillings. According to records seen by NTV between 2013 and 2017, the constituency received over 800 million shillings. Area Member of Parliament Benjamin Dalu Tayari has acknowledged that the infrastructure of public schools in his constituency is not desirable, but he says he's not to blame for this state of affairs.
I feel I would have done a lot with the 170 million to improve the infrastructure of the schools. So there have been so many question marks on how the CDF funds is being utilized, and I just want to remove, in my leadership, I want to remove that fear that there is misuse of CDF funds. Mimi nilipoingia nilipata shule nyingi zimejengwa kupitia CDF, lakini hata ukiangalia ile hali zile viko si hali ya kusema kwamba hii pesa serikali imetumika vizuri. Na hapo ndio nimebadilisha msingi, nimeweka msingi mpya, tuko na kamati mpya ambayo inasimamia vizuri.
The last time for CDF to construct a building here was in 2012, where they put up that structure there and it was not complete and they went. Wakati mwingine CDF zinajenga mahali hata ambapo kuna majengo ya kutosha, ndio wanapeleka majengo hapo. Hasa hizi shule za huku ndani ni kama zimebaguliwa sana.
Every village now, the family members and the village elders, they all want to set up primary schools, saying that the children have to walk to far distances to get education. And this is the one which is creating problems. So I've really stopped this habit of starting primary schools so that we can really embark on proper structures for our people. We are supposed to receive equalization funds from Treasury, but this one also has delayed. We've not received that money, whereas I had said if we receive the 200 million, I was going to allocate around 100 million only on education. This one was really going to help us a lot. If you combine the 100 million plus the 40 million from CDF, would be having 140 million per year. This one would really give us a big achievement in regard to the education. What we get from the ministry is peanuts from the infrastructure fund. You can imagine a constituency like Kinango, which is in dire need, was allocated only 500,000 Kenya shillings to one primary school. Since I came in, I've in total built around 45 classrooms. And this financial year, I'm trying to build around 60.
Education function remains under the national government. The only aspect of this have been devolved a pre-primary education. Kwale County government says it has constructed 370 ECD centers, but it has also acknowledged that the situation in some schools is bad.
Fine, we have accepted that. Yeah, you know, Rome was not built in a day. We've not actually addressed all the challenges, especially infrastructure. But I want to tell you one thing. As a county government, we started from zero. We have got more than 800 ECD centers in Kwale County, which need to be furnished and be provided with the infrastructural support. This financial year, we are going to do 70 ECD centers.
The plight of these pupils once again highlights the infrastructural crisis that has continued to rock many Kenyan state schools following the introduction of free primary education 16 years ago.
Watermelon, watermelon.
But what worries the teachers most is the fact that after years of suffering, there seems to be no end in sight even with the rollout of the competency-based curriculum. Under the new education system, pupils are expected to complete 2 years of preschool, 6 years in primary school, and 3 years in junior secondary school. Learners are also expected to complete another 3 years in senior secondary school and another 3 years in university. According to the CEO of Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, Dr. Julius Swan, competency-based curriculum is good and focuses on the learner, as opposed to the 844 system, which is exam-oriented and favors highly cognitive learners.
When, even Form 4, when exams results come out, like now 2018, 441,000 had a D plus and below. 93 had a C plus and above. About 122 had C plain and C minus. So they will go to colleges and technical institutes. Nobody bothers about the 441,000, which is more than actually almost 3/4. We don't celebrate them. We have declared them failures. What happens to them? Then you go back. What is the purpose of education for a country? It's to socialize people to be productive members of that society. Now, if that socialization process already has excluded and condemned the 3/4 of the people who are coming out, what are we telling the country?
Unlike the current system of education, one says CBC will be more practical and will churn out graduates who will be self-reliant in the job market in the technical fields.
The CBC is good for this country. And CBC should have been rolled out like yesteryears. Actually, in the US, in some of the states, CBC started in 1985. So you can calculate and see. Some of the things are introduced in the CBC, like entrepreneurial skills, business skills, are generic skills that somebody requires, so that even if you go outside there and you get money from the youth fund, you know what to do with it.
Meanwhile, Kenya National Union of Teachers have accused the Ministry of Education of using shortcuts to rush through the competency-based curriculum CBC, which will replace the 844 system.
The right things were not done. And this is a process that has been hijacked by foreigners. It is not being driven by Kenyans. This is a cut and paste curriculum which gives room for, it's a business model curriculum.
Curriculum is never a copy-paste thing. At least we don't have a foreigner driving this process. We have very good Kenyans dealing with this process. Is somebody saying that we have deliberately, with the support of the government, decided to destroy the future of this country? I mean, just think about it, because we are not going anywhere.
Any curriculum to qualify, to be rolled out, must go through a systematic scientific process, beginning with the evaluation of the existing curriculum and sharing of the findings with the public, the needs assessment, development of policy framework that involves many steps, including a task force in place made up of eminent experts in curriculum development, But in this situation, experts in curriculum development have been locked out. They're not part of the process. So we wonder which experts are midwifing this process and bills getting to Parliament so that it receives the necessary statutory instruments and support from Parliament. So far, that was not done, and even Parliament is yet to debate this.
In March this year, NAT commissioned a study which revealed that there is a major deficit across the 47 counties of teachers with the necessary skills to implement the CBC in primary schools. The report revealed most schools in Kenya were not fully prepared to handle the 2633 curriculum.
Right now, we don't have a teacher training curriculum model for the teacher training colleges. That should have been item number 1 in 2015-2016, that by 2019, at the beginning of the rollout, teacher training colleges and universities should have been graduating competency-based curriculum-trained teachers. This has not been done.
Some of the issues cited by the union as hampering the success of the new curriculum include rushed implementation, shortage of teachers, poorly developed infrastructure, lack of support in monitoring books, and failure to involve the participation of private schools in the training.
The trainings that teachers have been given are not trainings at all, because those who are training teachers are not informed. They lack capacity to interpret designs of CBC. So how can a blind man lead another blind man? Truly, our teachers are incapable and unable to teach CBC. They are incapable and unable. And therefore, there is no CBC in the classrooms in Kenya.
We have done all that was required. We trained teachers in April. We are going to train another set in August, and we shall train another set in December.
Training and orientation and professional development is always a continuous process. You'll never do it once and say it is done. The idea of continuous professional development will always be there. So the question of saying they were not trained enough, without being rude, I would ask, in what? Because we're just giving them an orientation. But I think this is a narrative that has been pushed by a specific group to achieve a specific agenda.
According to experts, the government needed time to prepare for the new curriculum.
There are many salient issues which were never considered. So even using analogies such as the train has left the station. It left the station, it never took the passengers. It left the station, it didn't have fuel. It left the station, but the railway has not been constructed to the end. We know that inequality is a serious challenge in our education in Kenya. Children in rural areas, children living with a disability, gender issues, geographical challenges. These are realities, language of instruction. These are shades of inequalities that CBC in itself cannot deliver.
A recent survey by the Early Grade Mathematics Assessment Endline Study revealed that about 40% of schools were found to have no basic structures, such as desks and chairs. Furthermore, the National Assessment System Monitoring Study conducted for Standard 3 indicated that at least 31% of schools do not have laptops.
The infrastructure of our schools cannot absorb CBC. In fact, CBC, many regions of this country will be marginalized, and public schools will remain permanently marginalized. The only thing that they can wait for is to die. And it will give leverage to private schools in terms of infrastructure to deliver CBC effectively, like we see in Finland and Singapore. At that level, you would require about 3 teachers in every classroom, in every learning lesson, because you must assess every learner at the end of the lesson. And so the class sizes do not exceed 25. They do not exceed 25 with 3 teachers. So you can imagine we have to subdivide all our classrooms in our public schools create more space, and get more teachers. We've got to invest very heavily in infrastructure so that the table designs are different from the desk design. Parliament needed to debate this and prepare the country in terms of appropriating money to prepare the human resource and appropriating money to prepare the infrastructure. That was not done. And so you could not move beyond this stage 3 to designs, to syllabus, to piloting and rollout. That should not be done if you can't do stage number 3. Was this done in this country? Definitely it was not. So how was the curriculum designed informed?
Those challenges will always be there. But what matters is how are they being addressed? If you talk of like a shortage of teachers, which has always been there, how is it being addressed? It is not something that is coming up because CBC has come into existence. It's just now the teachers are expected to be more engaged with the learner. Incidentally, the way we have designed the teaching and learning process is such that even if you are sitting on a floor, you will learn. We don't want, infrastructure is very critical in a school. But do you want that to hold us from rolling out a 21st century curriculum? What you do, and that's exactly what we have done, when we are doing orientation to the teachers, we tell them to use local material.
I've been to many parts of the country and I'm satisfied without prejudice. Whether you are sitting in a dilapidated structure, but the teacher is there and the equipment for teaching is there, the CBC is taking root. The infrastructure that was another problem, we are addressing it. This year we have another 300 million to apply to our primary schools. And we are going to apply it where it is needed most.
Huu mradi ni mbaya zaidi kuliko ile ya laptop ambayo iligharimu 70 billion na zile vifaa zimepelekwa kwa shule ni 1 million tablets, hata sio laptops, na nusu zimekufa, walimu hawajui kuitumia. Na hata hii CBC inafaa kuwa digitally driven. Report ile tumepewa kwa ministry na wale experts, hii ni report za serikali, ni kwamba laptop iko katika 5% success. 5% success. Kama imefaili kwa 5%, je, na hii CBC is supposed to ride on digital literacy program. Sasa hiyo ni kumaanisha nini?
Preliminary results of an assessment of grade 3 pupils provides a reality check for the drivers of the competency-based curriculum that is being rolled out in schools. The findings indicate that half of the pupils do not attain the 50% benchmark in English, Kiswahili and mathematics, and that a majority have weak comprehension skills. The survey raises serious questions as to whether the country is really prepared for the new curriculum.
It failed in South Africa because teachers were unable to deliver teaching of CBC. And they were honest enough to boycott and stop teaching CBC. But we've seen Kenyan teachers trying to raise their concerns. The only thing they are met with is interdictions and forced teaching.
I think the biggest challenge that we have now is that attitude change because of some of these dissenting voices that try to give certain impressions. Like now when somebody says, this has failed in South Africa, failed in UK, failed in the USA. Of course it has not failed in those countries. But because they are saying it because they want people to get swayed. Rwanda rolled out CBC 2 years ago. They have had their challenges, but they're moving on because they know that is the right thing to do. South Sudan rolled out ahead of us. Uganda is rolling out in phases. Tanzania has rolled out. So, I don't know, maybe, I think I just don't understand. We carried ourselves, invited by NAT. They invited all the executives from across the country. We went to their boardroom. We spent the whole morning discussing issues of CBC. We made presentations. And what did they say? They said, this is perfect. You guys have found the right thing. We support you. We have many agencies in this country who are key stakeholders in education. Do you want to tell me that of all these key stakeholders, NAT is a better stakeholder than the others? I mean, let's just face reality. If they find that there's something we are supposed to do better, like now they were talking about teacher training, why did they go to kick teachers out of training sessions? What exactly was the issue?
Grade 4 will be rolled out in 2020, but the roadmap will be ready by September this year.
One thing we may not have done well is having a strong communication strategy that would have helped us carry Kenyans along, explain to them. And that is why we are coming up with a new strategy of communication.
To address the underlying issues, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has formed a task force to undertake critical analysis of the national rollout and advise on key implementation issues.
How do you form a task force that excludes unions? And look at the members of the task force. They have been very loud proponents of CBC who have been put on the task force. So what we expect is a rubber stamp process. We don't think that task force is any task force that will deliver any meaningful work. They will be told what to approve and what to do.
The state is yet to decide whether the 11 years of schooling or grade 9 under the new 2633 system will be part of primary or secondary education. Currently, primary school ends in the 10th year of school or class 8 under the 844 curriculum that was introduced in 1984 and is gradually being phased out.
We are now beginning to get sober. If you thought that implementing CBC in early years, pre-primary 1, pre-primary 2, grade 1, 2, and 3 was challenging as it is right now. Wait for another 3 years when we walk into grade 6, and now these children have to graduate to go into junior secondary school.
Right now, they're not sure where to domicile grade 7, 8, and 9. It is a difficult agenda. And that tells you that the curriculum framework model is poor.
The task force has up to June 2020 to determine at what point learners join secondary schools.
We are not opposed to any curriculum, but can we follow the correct steps? We cannot do it in a day. For Kenya to deliver CBC, the earliest it can successfully is 2025.
You see, there is nowhere where there are no challenges. As a Starehe Eagle, I was trained to have my cup half full and to get water to fill it. That is precisely what I'm doing. You people are doing a good job by asking pertinent questions, but you should also allow us to do the job that we are supposed to do.
What I want people to focus on is the child. Go and see the child. Is the child happy at that level? If the child is happy, that is what is important. Because at that level, learning is supposed to be exciting to the child.
As the debate of whether the country is adequately prepared to handle the new curriculum continues, the challenge will be on how the government will marshal resources, especially to schools in rural areas who are mostly disadvantaged in many ways.
Now marks the end of Hardship Academy. And what did you think of it? Well, this is what Peter Kavave has to say. He says, I wonder why NAT is still talking of whether or not to implement CBC. The train left the station a long time ago. What we need now is to better the voyage. What was done or not done should not be the issue now. Mohamed Dube says most schools in rural areas are in pathetic conditions. In the school where I work, teachers spend the night in classrooms. Nothing like staff quarters. Mike says the CS Amina spoke the truth, but she was forced to retract her well-informed decision and statement. Experimenting with innocent lives for sure. Somebody needs to save us. While Victor Odhiambo says, while our members of parliament demand 250,000 shillings in a housing allowance, this is happening in their constituency. Benjamin Tayari says you should also air the achievements of the member of parliament. While Evelyn says, what happened to teamwork? We used to report to school beginner day 1 with a desk Every year we used to make bricks to construct new classes, while Dennis Olemutio says, how is CBC implementation here? Who is the governor? Who is the MP, senator, woman rep, and the MCA? All of them are driving heavy cars, but the children are suffering. May God see you. P. Kitemu says in this era, people are going to the bushes in a public government institution. That's his question. John Mark Rabogi says, I ask myself, why do we have leaders dishing out millions every Sunday in churches, and yet we still have children learning in such conditions? Counties are given millions each year, and yet this is what we see. Ile kiboko inatungoja ahera, bado inapakwa pilipili. Let's see if Richie agrees with him. He says, na kuna MCA wa parliament ati anawaitishia pesa. Kenya wa tulikosea wapi? Let's see if Wellington agrees. He says the state of schools is pathetic. However, as parents await for a solution that may never come, let them take charge of repairing the walls for the affected classrooms. Dennis, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Olive. The conversation continues on Twitter. The hashtag is Hardship Academy. Let's just hear your conversations and your views and your comments on the same. But we take another break coming up. Governor Waititu says he knows just how to run the county despite court order.
When you sign up for autocorrect from Heritage Insurance, we will install a telematics device in your vehicle. You will also enjoy rewards by accumulating points for good driving. You can save up to 15% of your insurance premium. Autocorrect from Heritage. For more, SMS autocorrect to 22922 or visit autocorrect.heritageinsurance.co.ke.
Tusonge mbele na Fiber Mobile. Get a Fiber SIM card today and enjoy Tusonge mbele bundles at affordable prices.
This is MotoHub, ultimately Kenya's finest car dealer company. Our cars are carefully sourced and selected, backed up with excellent skilled personnel. Our aim is to ensure value for your money as well as peace of mind.
When it comes to affordability check, reliability check, finance check, quality defined check, any type of car check. Whenever you need that dream car, tutembele. Mambo hapa yamenyooka nyoronyoro.
So, are you in need of a car? Now you know.
Niwe tu tumengoja.
MotoHub, we are quality redefined. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari. Nation FM. More music and less talk. Nairobi 96.3, Mombasa 101.5, Meru 93.9, Nyeri 104.9, Eldoret 102.7, and Nakuru on 97.7. Follow us on social media on Facebook at Nation FM, Instagram at Nation FM, and on Twitter at Nation FM KE. Nation FM. More music and less talk.
Out of your mind, Rodrigo.
It was you who killed Papa. Just admit it, Mom.
Rodrigo, that's not true.
Your mom. Get away from her.
You only did that because you were defending me.
I did.
It was an accident.
It was an accident.
Believe me.
Mom.
No.
It's true. I killed him.
Hernan. No.
Buy Buy a Smart Cab Plus from us at 1.25 million shillings and get 47,000 every month. A Smart Chop Chop Cab at 675,000 shillings and get 25,000 every month. Maridadi Motors. Move your status.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu now says he will operate the affairs of his county at the sub-county level. The embattled governor, who joined worshippers at the Victor's Assembly Church in Kikuyu sub-county, also announced that he is keeping off 2022 succession politics, which he blamed for his current troubles. Seth Olale with the details.
Just a day after inspecting various projects spearheaded by the Kiambu County government, Ferdinand Waititu assured his constituents that there was no leadership vacuum.
I was gazetted. Huwezi fanya kazi hiyo unajaribu kusema ifanywe na deputy kama hajakuwa gazetted.
Waititu, who attended a church service at the Victor's Assembly Church in Kikuyu sub-county, also announced that he would be running county affairs from the sub-counties.
Kwani kama saa hii hapa kama kuna mtu alikuwa amekuja na karatasi nimsainie, si ningemsainia tu. Si nimekuwa hapa, yes. Media governor executive powers bado ziko na mimi.
This follows a court order restricting the governor from accessing his office at the Kiambu headquarters. The embattled governor dismissed the move by his deputy James Noro to take over operations at the Kiambu County government, terming it inconsequential.
Mimi juzi nimeongea na deputy governor. Na yeye pia hana confusion. Anajua mimi ndio mdosi. Mimi ndio mdosi wa county.
Waititu, his wife Susan Wangari Ndungu, and 6 others were charged for the irregular tender worth 588 million shillings for upgrading various gravel roads to bitumen standard in Kiambu. The governor says he will chair his first cabinet sitting on Wednesday. Seth Olale, NTV.
Staying with politics, Deputy President William Ruto has once again insisted that the Jubilee Party is united. The Deputy President has also called on all politicians under the ruling party to rally behind President Uhuru Kenyatta and support the Big Four agenda. And as NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi now reports, the MPs who had accompanied the DP to a funds drive in Kiharu, Murang'a County could not keep off the 2022 politics.
With the different factions in Jubilee growing by the day and threatening the very fabric that holds the party together, the Deputy President is once again trying to save the face of the ruling party by calling on its membership to toe the line and unite. Speaking in Kiharu constituency, Murang'a, where he presided over a funds drive, the DP was quick to admit that the unending fights were only serving to split the party.
Tuachane na siasa ya mirengo. Tuachane na siasa ya ugomvi. Sisi wote ni team moja. Kiongozi wetu ni mmoja. Manifesto yetu ni moja. Mpango yetu ya Big Four ni moja. Sisi wote tuungane ndio tuweze kutekeleza yale mambo Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta kama rais wetu aliahidi wananchi wa Kenya ili Kenya yetu hii iweze kubadilika.
The Jubilee Party now has camps, one against the Deputy President and his 2022 presidential bid, and another keen on singing his praises and calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to settle a political debt they believe he owes Ruto. Ruto in Murang'a was with those allied to him.
Sisi tuliambiwa na President Uhuru ya kwamba yeye miaka yake ni 10. Alisema hivyo. Na akituambia akimaliza yake 10 tunaenda wapi? Kwa nani? Ruto wako hapa. Tutasimama na yeye. Simu nionyeshe kwa mkono hivi nijue kama tuko pamoja.
Wengine wanaleta uchochezi kwa sababu wakati wa campaign kiongozi wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta alisema miaka 10 yake na miaka 10 ya naibu wa rais.
Tuko nyuma yenu, mjue tutaunda serikali ya Jubilee hata mwaka wa 2022.
Cognizant of the close relationship between President Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga, Ruto insists he is the bona fide official to ensure that government policy is implemented.
Hata wale walikuwa wanatufanyia maandamano na makelele ili wanyamaze. Tumewaita, tumewaketisha chini, sasa tunawafundisha vile kazi inafanyika, ndio waache makelele na maandamano.
Sasa wewe kazi yako ni deputy president na ni ya kuangalia miradi, na ndio unafanya hiyo. Mheshimiwa deputy rais, uendelee nayo hivyo hivyo.
The MPs who accompanied the deputy president also said they will shoot down efforts to limit amounts to be contributed in church. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
From politics and farther afield, Sudanese protesters celebrated in Khartoum after ruling generals and protest leaders signed the constitutional declaration which paves way for a promised transition to a civilian-led government. This follows 7...
The security forces who took part in this operation,
police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation,
police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United
School of Business, University of Nairobi, globally recognized and offering internationally accredited programs, invites applications for the September 2019 intake in the following postgraduate and undergraduate programs: Master in Business Administration, Master of Science in Marketing, Human Resources Management, Entrepreneurship and Innovations Management, Finance, Supply Chain Management, Operations and Technology Management, Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor Commerce Distance Learning, Bachelor of Science in Finance, Accounting, Operations and Supply Chain Management. Programs are offered in Mombasa and Kisumu campuses and selected programs at the Eldoret Learning Center. Apply online through application.uonbi.ac.ke and be the first to secure admission at the most prestigious university in Sub-Saharan Africa. The University of Nairobi is a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
Now is your time to dance and rejoice.
It's time for the Great Gospel Crusade with Evangelist Daniel Kolenda and the ministry of Reinhard Bonke Nakuru.
That Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father.
Come and receive your miracle from God at the 4-day power-packed crusade from Thursday 8th August to Sunday 11th August 2019. The venue is Afraha Stadium Open Grounds from 3 p.m. daily.
Come and be blessed.
Jesus is Lord.
Making my family some nutritious porridge is a painstaking process.
First, I have to find all the ingredients needed, and there are many. For vitamins, proteins, and minerals, I need cassava, sorghum, millet.
You no longer need to go through all that to make nutritious porridge.
All you need is NutriPro.
You don't have to go through the trouble of finding, measuring, and weighing all these vital ingredients. New NutriPro porridge flour comes fortified with 13 vitamins, proteins, and minerals. This means that you have more time to focus on what's important, giving your family the healthy start they deserve. NutriPro, bringing families together. From Tropical Brand.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. Time now to look at what you expect this week. 2 more commissioners are set to exit the Teachers Service Commission on Tuesday. The exit of the 2 will create 3 vacant slots at the commission. In April, Cleopas Tirop, who was the vice chairman, retired, and several top officials in the teaching fraternity are eyeing the slots, looking for more jobs. Let's move on now. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, will tomorrow officially open the pre-conference on expanding inclusion of special needs education in the education reforms at the Kenya Institute for Special Education. The pre-conference is part of a build-up to the National Conference on Competence-Based Curriculum CBC scheduled for 16th of August. That obviously came out strongly in Rosie Ungoi's story. Now, Wiper Democratic Movement will tomorrow unveil its newly elected team of young Wiper Democrats and national officials at the headquarters. The event will be led by the party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. Well, we have so many other stories that will be making headlines and stories that you expect in the week, so you don't want to miss out on anything. Time now for Instant Intel with Olive.
Yes, Dennis, and if you see me smiling this broadly, you must know that it is time for Instant Intel.
United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to ThisNote and Karibu to ThisNote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs,
moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to ThisNote and Karibu to ThisNote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to ThisNote and Karibu to ThisNote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering
cleaning does not kill the hepatitis B and C virus. For more information, visit www.kickthevirus.com.
Discovered the world-famous Molfix and saw the difference. Let's see how absorbent Molfix is.
Molfix, thanks to its ultra-absorbent particles, can keep more liquid than the other diaper brand, so you can use it comfortably all day long.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Out of your mind, Rodrigo! It was you who killed Papa! Just admit it, Mom!
Rodrigo, that's not true!
Your mom! Get away from her!
You only did that because you were defending me.
I did!
It was an accident,
It was an
Hernan.
accident!
Believe me!
Mom!
No!
It's true, I killed him!
Hernan! No!
Buy a Smart Card Plus from us at 1.25 million shillings and get 47,000 every month. A Smart Chop Chop Cab at 675,000 shillings and get 25,000 every month. Maridadi Motors. Move your status.
Good evening to you. It's a time for sports here on NTV. With me, Ida Waringa. We're starting things off with football, where Kenya's quest to qualify for their first ever African Nations Championship CHAN tournament ended after a humbling 1-4 loss to Tanzania on post-match penalties. The second leg had ended 0-0, as did the first leg of the first round qualifier. Despite the embarrassing loss, coach Sebastian Minye was defiant in his post-match press briefing.
Tanzania's Taifa Stars players dancing with joy after bundling out Kenya's Harambee Stars from the CHAN 2020 qualifiers. Kenya's blunt attack was problematic in the first leg, and despite having a week to fix it, coach Sebastian Minye could not find an answer going forward. Tanzania were slightly better in a scrappy first half, with Kenya playing like strangers. After the restart, Minye threw in winger David Messi Owino, and the diminutive Mathare United player put in a man-of-the-match performance that freshened Kenya's attack and got fans on their feet. Wasteful Harambee Stars strikers meant that the game ended 0-0 and went straight to penalties. Tanzania converted all their spot kicks, while Clifton Miheso scored Kenya's lone goal after Michael Kibwage and Joash Onyango missed. The Taifa Stars will face Sudan in the second and final qualifying round for a ticket to CHAN 2020 in Cameroon.
Focus kwenye the next game. I want to see which team, how organized they are. Nitaiandaa kutokana na jinsi ilivyo, kwa hiyo ni preparation ingine match. We have to push.
Minye remained defiant on his tactics while downplaying questions over his future with the Stars.
You're negative people, no? You know, when I signed in Kenya, I knew it was not Ghana, it was not Senegal, it was Kenya. So I knew it will be difficult.
After a lackluster AFCON 2019 campaign and the first round CHAN 2020 qualifier exit, the state of Kenyan football and Kenyan footballers is sure to come under the spotlight in the coming days.
Well, I will tell you this, it was quite the interesting post-match conferences you've seen there with Kenya head coach Sebastian Menyei. Let's move on. And the national women's volleyball team, the Malkia Strikers, has lost all their matches at the ongoing FIVB Volleyball Intercontinental 2020 Olympic qualifiers in Italy. The Malkia Strikers, who had already lost in straight sets to Italy and then to the Netherlands, fell in straight sets again to Belgium this evening. Italy and Netherlands will battle it out for the automatic Olympic ticket. The Malkias will have yet another chance to try and qualify for the Olympics, and that will be in January 2020 through the Confederation of African Volleyball Qualification Tournament. Well, better luck next time. And the Canbis are the inaugural champions of the Hirani Telecom 2020 Cup. Canbis achieved the historic feat after
the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of Boda Boda in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to Thiesnote and Karibu to Thiesnote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs, moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of Boda Boda in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to Thiesnote and Karibu to Thiesnote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs, moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of Boda Boda in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to Thiesnote and Karibu to Thiesnote.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs, moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null
Single ladies. Single ladies. Well, it is Single Working Women's Day. Ida, I don't know, did you have a clue?
Not at all.
It's an unofficial holiday, so you're excused. So yes.
Should I just walk out?
No, you shouldn't. Come on.
There's too much energy going on here. Do they have one for taking men? Like taking men holiday?
I will do some research and find out. But yeah, women have like so many holidays. Now there's that one for single working women.
Okay.
There's Mother's Day. There's International Women's Day. We love ourselves.
Well, and on a more sentimental note, and this is just to celebrate all the women and all the single ladies, it's also Sisters' Day.
Yes.
So what do people do on Sisters' Day?
Yeah, I guess you wish your sisters a happy Sisters' Day.
Okay, I wish my sisters a happy Sisters' Day.
And I wish my sisters a happy Sisters' Day as well.
Okay, good night. Thank you so much for watching NTV Weekend Edition, and a lovely Sisters' Day also to Flora Atieno, who is our sign language interpreter.
Yes, we can be related by blood or friendship. As Dennis said, thank you so much for keeping us company to the very end of NTV Weekend Edition. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Good night.